Hello. Today we are talking about the third gift, called by Froebel the children's delight. First thing I wanted to say is we will be referring while talking about this gift to a cube from second gift, and I've mentioned in our previous videos that I have preference over the Froebel PL's second gift than the Sina's second gift, and I would like to tell you why. In Sina, this is the size of the cube, and in Froebel PL, this is the size of the cube. The size of this cube and the size of the cube inside this box is the same. This cube is smaller. With gift number 3, the comparison of the size of the hole between gift 3 and gift 2 is very important, and I think the difference is clearer and more logical for children when we use the cube of the same size. That's why we would rather recommend working with gift number 2 from Froebel pair. However, unfortunately you cannot buy just a separate second gift. They are selling them only in bunch. They say the whole set of gifts, but if you have their gifts, then that would be the right size of cube. Okay, so I leave that cube on the table. I pack, unfortunately, Sina's smaller cube. Put it away, and we can get to our gift. So first, the most important thing after you introduce the children into the world of third gift, you do it with your magic box. You are guessing what's inside, you are telling a story, who's hiding inside, the kids predict, you pass along. Finally you reveal the gift. Make sure you place it on the grid, okay? And you uncover the box before students. Make sure you do it like that, so they from the beginning see it's important to pay attention, to take care, and to first reveal the whole. And during your first lesson, during your first story, you let the children immediately compare the third gift to the second gift, okay? And first thing that they see, that these two are the same but a bit different. This is undivided, this is divided, and the parts of the third gift are smaller in size but exactly the same in shape. This is a very important lesson for children, something exciting for them to discover. Teaches them that no matter the size, a cube stays a cube. What was Froebel's intention in constructing this gift, in inventing this gift? As you know, young children, they have this need of destroying or taking apart. I wouldn't say destroying, but maybe taking apart things. They want to, after they play with something, they want to know what's inside. If they, for example, take a doll apart, the need of taking things apart is satisfied, but then it is often hard to put it back again. But with this gift, you can take it apart, investigate the parts, investigate what's inside, and then you can also put it back again into a hole. And this is something which normal toys usually don't offer. This gift can be used with kids who are 3 or older. However, from our experience, we see it's okay to use them with children who are 2.5 years of age. Sina from Germany, they also offer gift number 3, 4, I think maybe even 5 and 6, and in a larger size. So probably you could use it even with 2-year-old children to show them some concepts. So as I said, we have one cube as a whole consisting of 8 smaller parts, also cubes. We pass from undivided to divided. We abstract the form from the size. What does it mean? That a cube is always a cube, no matter the size. We see here increase of material, 8 cubes, but also decrease in size, smaller, bigger. We also have many more possibilities to illustrate form and number. We had limited amount of things that can be made out of this cube, but this cube allows us to become a chair, a sofa, a wall, tower. So obviously more possibilities of construction, showing a form and number. What geometrical forms are illustrated by this gift? First of all, a solid cube and smaller cubes, and a square prism. We cut it here and also here. Square prism. And as far as planes are concerned, a square. The face of the cube is square. What our student has gained by working with that gift, the most immediate things. First of all, he learns that the cube is a solid body, but has surfaces, edges and corners. That this whole is divided in many ways and has equal parts, all of them are the same. The student has been empowered with possibilities of changing one part into a new whole, some parts into a new holes, one hole into another hole, a bed, a sofa, clock, windmill. As we mentioned before, the form and the size are two separate and distinct characteristics of objects. As I mentioned before, form and size are two separate and distinct characteristics of objects. Form is cube, size small, bigger, always cube is a cube. Our students gain dexterity in the little fingers by, for example, stacking the cubes into a tower. Requires some kind of stability, patience. Yeah. Even packing the cube back to the box requires some kind of dexterity in our fingers. And division. About the division I will speak when I will talk about forms of knowledge. Our students also learn about some dimensions. For example, about the height. When they build a tower. One tall tower, two shorter towers, 4 very short towers. Okay. They learn also about breadth. For example, broad platform, narrow platform. Okay. They learn also about depth. For example, there was an old woman who wanted to take some water with her bucket from a well. The well was very deep, half a finger deep. So depth and thickness. wall, another wall, yeah. So height, length, breadth, explain to children through stories, of course. Now let's go to what we've mentioned in our rules. With gift 3 we introduce the grid and we introduce forms of life. You would be surprised to see, I think, when you tell your first story, let's say about the Goldilocks, and then after the story you ask students what kind of forms of life they have seen in the story, they will probably start telling you a table, stairs, chair, an oven, bed, because it really sounds natural for them, forms of life. So it's easy for them to discover what do we mean by this. And what are these forms of life? They represent things that can be seen in the outside world: buildings, houses, tables, sofas, trees. Whenever you are asking students to build something for you, make sure that your dictation should be simple, clear, slow, and always use the same terms. Use brief stories in the beginning, then go into poems or longer stories. For example, if you would like to build an armchair, you tell a story about old grandma who wanted to sit on her cozy armchair to knit the baby's stockings. You know, you have one sentence story to encourage children to meaningfully build an armchair. Then there are forms of beauty. Froebel called forms of beauty dancing forms, because there is always a central piece and other pieces revolving around the central piece, as if dancing to create. And here we develop beautiful forms by slightly changing the position of the blocks, and I will show you some possibilities, but you have to remember one thing, that these forms are supposed to be symmetrical. So we have one common central piece, and whatever we do with this block, we do it with the one diagonally in diagonal relation to it, and the same goes for that. Whenever children move this one, they move that one, and in this way we create our forms of beauty. Okay, and forms of knowledge now. What are they? They teach mathematical and logical ideas such as number, proportion, equivalence, and order. And maybe now we can start from forms of life. What could be done? When you have a lesson, when you organize your lesson, you have to always design your gift center, and probably whatever you will show and use and do from your gifts during your morning circle story, that will be recreated by children during their work at the gift center. So if you tell a story and you say that the grandmother has received a very comfortable chair, but the grandpa wanted always to sit on that chair, one day they decided to split the chair into two, and then they both could sit together and eat their dinner. They didn't fight anymore. We teach the children about sharing, maybe. Then one day they had enough of sitting separately. They decided to combine their two chairs and create one very cozy country house style chair to sit together, to look into each other's eyes. Okay? You can be telling a story about Humpty Dumpty who sat on a wall. He wanted to discover the wall, so he sought for a tall wall to climb on and see what's happening, and he saw in the far distance 2 towers. Somebody goes to a garden and must pass through a gate. Little Red Riding Hood in her forest, she found a strange looking gate. Let's say a bridge. What is important also is to practice your forms at home before you start introducing them at school. Okay? Because you don't want to hesitate like I'm hesitating right now. You make a bridge. You make a bridge. That's how your children practice the patience and dexterity. Imagine you have a very impatient student who doesn't like to fail, and if this block keeps on falling, it will take some time for him to do it, but he is going to do it, and then the success he feels will be enormous. There is this nursery rhyme, the mouse ran up the clock struck 1, so here you have the clock. So there are many things you can build, but you have to practice at home, so that you have something to show to your student, to show that you are proficient in it, and to inspire them to invent their own things. Okay? So some of the forms of life usually introduced during your stories in the morning, and then students in their gift centers, they recreate and try to do what you have shown them. In our school we have availability of such cards that offer us examples, but it's quite difficult because they are printed on flat paper. However, we have noticed that with some students who are 3 years of age, they are able to understand that this flat picture is actually 3D. And what we have seen is that students, they take this binder and they place it like this, and they are trying to recreate the forms. In these binders we have examples of forms of life and forms of beauty. However, you have availability of those online. Pinterest is a big resource. Your fellow teachers, they keep the photos of their own creations. You can also share. You can also, while you are preparing for a lesson and creating your own constructions, take photos and keep it in some kind of folder, print for students to have a reference. Our aim is not to ask students to create something from pictures, from photos, but it helps surely in the beginning. Also, you can use the books available in our library, and one of the great resources is the Gifts and Occupation book by Maria move the crowds. Okay, so now forms of beauty. As we said, forms of beauty should revolve around the central piece. So you instruct the children what should be the central piece, calmly and slowly, so that they can all start. And then you guide them through putting on the right hand side and in the middle of your square, place a cube. Left hand side in the middle of your square, place a cube. Top of the square in the middle, place a cube. Bottom of the square in the middle, place a cube. 1. They can take photos of their own work. They can try to draw it. They can try to create from natural material form resembling this. They can think of creating a flower or a gift for their mother or grandmother for their day. And then the dance starts. The forms move symmetrically. Yeah. They keep on moving, going forward, moving counterclockwise. Okay. Now maybe they keep on moving. This time balance on their edge, in the middle of every face, of every edge to edge. You're the one who will decide on how you will call your directions, but once you decide on how you direct your children, you always use the same type of expressions, okay? Okay. Another thing could be creating a diamond. With no cube in the middle. Revolve. Okay. This is your central piece. And now your cubes start dancing. It takes some practice, it takes explanation, it takes understanding of you, your students, the way how you should direct your student, where you should sit, where you should stand. If you want to show what you are doing, you also have to decide how you should be placed in front of your student. It's easier because it's symmetrical, so no matter your position, it should be the same for all the students to understand and to have the same outcome. But it's a slow process, particular process, but later on students will be able to create beautiful forms from what they have gotten used to. Another central piece. Okay. And now when they are experienced with working with the central piece of 4, they can create a central piece of 2. Do something. A butterfly, here we go. Yeah. So possibilities are quite a lot, but quite many. With gift 4, 5, 6, it will be even easier and more beautiful as far as the forms of beauty are concerned. Gift number 3 gives us limits us a little bit, but still it's better to work with this limited amount of blocks and practice and understand the need of center, transpositioning, slight movements, and symmetry. Symmetry is important because for us as teachers and for children, it's difficult to be precise, to think about the importance of symmetry. Students would naturally probably start building something that wouldn't be symmetrical. They're just building for building. But you want them to express some forms of beauty with this gift. And you teach them these skills so later on, when they have free, spontaneous play, when they have time for themselves, they can reach to all the things they have learned. They can use their skills, they can use their abilities to transform one thing to another to create something beautiful, unexpected. Then they can get really innovative, I would say. Now I would go back to forms of knowledge. Forms of knowledge also up to you, but very basic. For example, one hole. This hole can be divided into 2 halves. These 2 halves can be divided into halves like this. Can be divided into 2 halves like that. Can be divided into 2 halves like that. And it's always same amount of halves, same amount of cubes in a half. These halves can be divided into quarters like that, or like that. For quarters, four quarters, 8 quarters. Place the 8 cubes in a straight line, divide them into halves. Place the line up, divide the line, the tower, into 2 equal towers. Divide the 2 equal towers into 4 equal towers. Divide the 4 equal towers in 8 equal towers. Make a cube. And divide it so that you can create an oblong rectangle. Lay it down. just a few simple exercises to discover many mathematical ideas with your children. And one last thing, whenever you finish your constructions, your ideas, your beauty forms, life forms and knowledge forms, they return to its original form, to the whole, to the cube. Take the box, close it, continue working on your skills, minor motor, close the box, return the box to its place on the shelf. So this is it, basis of our third gift.